I have to admit, I don't watch a ton of non-Trump TV, but when I do, I love a good anti-hero. Walter White, Don Draper, but none compares to the original, the everyman mob boss Tony Soprano. It's now been 20 years since he first graced our television screens on The Sopranos and changed the medium forever. So to mark the occasion, we've decided to bring a little Jersey here to Boston with a pair of locally based actors who helped make the show what it was. Marianne Leone, who played Joanne Moltisanti, the mother of Christopher, a guy who just couldn't stay out of trouble.
Hey, Mom.
What the hell are you doing here? You scared me to death.
Just stop by, see how you're getting along.
You ever do anything like a normal person? There is a bell.
We're also joined by John Fiore, who played Gigi Cestone, a character perhaps best known for his unfortunate manner of death.
How much longer, Skip? Jesus.
Okay, John, sorry, I couldn't play a clip of you alive. We had to do one like that. John, it's a pleasure to meet you, Marianne. It's great to see you. So this, she knows this, my favorite show of all time. I think the best television show of all time. I'm surely not alone. Why do so many people feel like I do?
The sense of family on the show, right? The melding the crime and the mob genre with a family soap opera dynamic. It just had something for everybody.
And don't forget the humor. The humor,
absolutely
humor is what makes it,
absolutely,
to me. Yeah.
But didn't The Sopranos, I don't want to get more haughty than we need to, but didn't The Sopranos do some things that had never been done on television before, didn't it?
I think so. I remember when I first saw the premiere. I was actually visiting. My husband Chris was shooting American Beauty.
It's Chris Cooper, for those who don't know.
And he was off that night, and I said, this show is coming on. It's going to be. They never get Italian Americans right. It's going to be terrible. And we watched the show, and I said, we're getting HBO. This is
because of how they portrayed Italian Americans.
I know there are Italian Americans who would disagree with me, but there were things about it. Livia, I mean, the mother saying, I don't take calls after dark.
We called it miserabile in Italian, that whole personality dynamic. Where everything
recognize
was
these
just
people.
Dark with her.
So did they nail, you agree with Marianne that they really nailed?
I do, yeah. And I know there were a lot of the Italian groups that protested.
Well, particularly the Columbus Day
episode. But that aside, I thought they really nailed it myself.
So you were in it. So it's a whole, by the way, just looking at the two of you and then looking at those clips, I got so excited I can't see straight.
They look the same.
Right.
But as a viewer, I mean, you watched it, I assume, too. Were you as excited on Sunday nights?
God,
yes.
I mean, I planned the whole damn weekend in anticipation of Sunday. Was it like that for you?
You take yourself out of it. You know you're in it. You're excited to see yourself in it. But then you're just a fan of the show. You loved it.
And it was a different time. You couldn't binge on anything then. So there was a build-up to the show on Sundays. And I like the communal thing of it, too, which does not really exist anymore.
It was a cultural event.
It's all niche watching television
You mean the communal event that everybody was watching The Sopranos
kind
of thing together? I just read an interview, I don't know if you guys saw it, a couple of days ago with David Chase, the creator of this thing, in the New York Times. I couldn't tell, because I don't know him, whether he's being tongue-in-cheek or not, basically saying at the end of the deal, I think 86 episodes, James Gandolfini was sick of him, was sick of the show. Do you buy that?
I do buy that to a certain extent, because Jim, he worked very hard on that show as Mary. He really tortured himself. He had so much to do and so much to carry. I think by the end of it, they had it with each other, but just temporarily. Not that they would be enemies for life or anything, but just...
But you didn't like, what was Gandolfini?
Oh, he was the kindest man
ever. Why?
Well, I'll tell you one experience that it was terrible. It was like after we lost our son, I was worried that I would lose my television son, and then I did, and they asked me to, be on set for, there was Michael Imperioli, there was the funeral parlor, and I fainted during the scene, shooting the scene. And it just was absurd because Arthur, that who's in your crowd there, I woke up to this guy. I woke up to this guy who was an ex-New York City cop, framed by a light, looking like an angel, saying, "Are you on meds?" And then I came to, and one of the extras said, "I'm a dentist," and it got more absurd from there. And then I was just sitting there waiting to go on again, and Jim walks by and says, anything for attention. But there was a kindness in it. You know what I mean? There was a real kindness.
What was your
He did something for me. I came from Boston to do the show.
You're a Somerville kid.
Somerville kid, yeah,
those who don't
absolutely.
know.
But in New York, you tried to pass yourself off as a New York actor. You didn't want anybody to think you lived anywhere but New York. But secretly, I lived in Boston, so I commuted down there. And we're doing one of them Friday nighters that they go 2, 3 in the morning on a Friday. It gets later and later and later. And I'm going, geez, I didn't make plans for this. He overheard me. I had just met him at that point twice. He said, you can stay at my apartment on Jane Street. I'm not using it. I go, really? I stayed there for 2 weeks.
He was a really kind
great.
man. And
I'm so glad to hear that, by the way. I really am, because I only really knew him from Tony Soprano.
here's another weird thing.
Yeah.
When Chris and I lived in Hoboken, we rented our apartment in a brownstone owned by his father.
Ooh.
Okay? So this was before The Sopranos. And I remember saying, we're both actors. And he was like, yeah, my son wants to be an actor. He's never going to get anywhere.
That's pretty good, by the way. So I have very mixed feelings about the Many Saints of Newark. You've heard this thing, this
Yeah, I
prequel.
did too.
Well, I'm so glad to hear this.
I
This is a prequel for those who don't know, a movie that may happen, may not happen. You both have weird expressions on your faces. How do you feel?
I just feel it's something totally different because the crew that we know cannot be in this movie.
Right.
We're all too old. We're dead. We're not there for the most part.
But
We
David
can't-
Chase is a really good writer. He is a fantastic writer. So
I say don't do it. Okay, so before you go, obviously we got to do the obvious. Here's the end. You've all seen this. I've seen this probably 100 times. Here's the last 35 seconds of the best show ever on television. Here it is.
I went ahead and ordered something for the table.
Oh my God, take my breath away.
I know.
I can't tell why I hated it and then I love it
I
to
know.
death. How do you feel about it?
I feel the same way. The night it happened, I'm sure like everybody, you thought something happened to your TV. You're smacking your TV. I choose to think he lived, even though I've read some stuff lately that David Chase tipped his hand and intimated that he did not.
But regardless, you're okay with the
I'm
ending.
okay with it. I grew to love it.
I'm
I
better
liked the
than
ending.
you two.
I liked it right away.
You did right
I
away?
did.
Why did you like it
I
right
don't know. The
away?
writer in me responded to it, not the actor, the writer.
How great do you feel? Only 15 seconds. Is this like, I mean, you've both done so many huge things. This is,
It doesn't go away. It's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
It was phenomenal.
it's a thrill to see you both in the flesh and alive, by the way. I prefer
Alive.
you alive. Even though I
Thank you.
liked you dead, too.
Yeah.
John, it's
Thanks,
great to
Jim.
meet
Nice
you.
to meet
Thanks
you.
so much,
Thank you.
Marianne, as always.
Lovely.
The queen of the lemon tart, too, I should say. Great to see you both.